inaugural European Open. There was such a big-time feel about the final there, which he won against Shane Van Boening. But in the 14 months or so since then, things have not gone to plan. Until this week in the capital city of Vietnam. So Albin Ouschan will get things started off. Is it going to be an all-European final? Or will Ping Chung get the chance to back up his Atlantic City glory here in Asia? Ouschan to start. And very nearly started in golden fashion.
Yeah, he's got to love the action on the rack there, a little movement on the 9. I was thinking about advantages and disadvantages between the two players. And what we saw at the U.S. Open as far as Ping Chung breaking the balls and his success rate, making the one in the side, was pretty unreal. Kind of felt like Albin Ouschan would be a little behind on the break. Couldn't be much, but this one's got to be a nice feeling for Albin to get started in a very doable 2-ball. Like all players, both these players will start off a little nervy. It's just how it is in 9-ball pool.
Yeah, definitely so. And this is a different environment to what these guys are used to. It's so spread out, the crowd. Even when we've had big crowds in places like Fulton, Atlantic City, it's so tight to the table. This feels vast, and that takes some adjusting to.
Yeah, I think the crowds have been incredible on the World 9-Ball Tour. It seems like it grows each stop, and every one of them's a little unique, of course. We saw in Spain a real rowdy crowd, which was awesome. Of course, the matches were pretty unreal overall, that Final Four. A little bit of a tester, not too much because the 7's near.
Extension call.
Now, one thing that Ping Chung can afford that he had happen last night is fall way behind. This is a very experienced player that is gaining more confidence with every match. And not one to fumble towards the end. He's going to catch the 8 a bit. That was anticipated, though. That's why you saw the speed wasn't too heavy. Didn't want to knock the 8 too far away. And no reason to take a risk on the 7 and create a missable ball. Little stun here.
Albin Ouschan back in the big time, back in a semi-final. Back involved in the final day of a big event. And a fine start he's made. Albin Ouschan, 2-time world champion, leads Ping Chung 1-0. Tell us a bit about Albin Ouschan then, Jeremy, and his strengths over the years.
Well, consistency, of course. When you have consistency, sometimes you're overlooked on how well you make the big shot. And he definitely can do that, and he's done it many times. Of course, 2-time world 9-ball champion, multiple-time World Cup champion. Seems like he's always on the business end. This year's been a little light overall, and he would tell you the same. And you know, he's wanting to end the year with making some big noise here on the World 9-Ball Tour.
The possibility of qualifying automatically for the Mosconi Cup is gone now. He still had a chance before Jason Shaw's win earlier today. But when you consider his experience in Mosconi's, where he has a very good record and has 6 of them, 5 times on the winning team. If he was to win this title today,
Rack 2.
he's making a big case for himself
Albin
to get one
Ouschan's
of the 2 wildcard picks.
Leading 1 rack to 0.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, he thought about what was going to happen with Europe this week, and 2 names you had to think about no matter if they made it or not was Jason Shaw, of course, being right there in Ali Pally, and Albin Ouschan.
Great start.
Okay, looks like the 2 is going to be over the side. I'm not so sure he can get at it. I think he takes it on, whether he can or not, with the jump cue. But he's got to like the way he's breaking so far. You know, the cue ball is going to get in places you can't determine. There's going to be kisses on the cue ball with the cut break. You just hope it doesn't get lost in a pocket. Especially, I think that's a thing that's at times Albin can struggle with, is the break. Okay, this angle should move him towards the 3 if he knocks the 2 in. Maybe even get to some kind of short side. The 3-way combination on the 3-5-7, not that bad. But he really has got to put his focus on just pocketing this 2.
Extension call.
Oh, well, you had that corner, and he certainly should take it on. So I think a lot of players would have been on the fence there with that cut shot down the rail, because Albin thinks there's protection, but anytime you put a ball near the pocket, these players are usually going to find a route to get at it. Some would have taken on the jump, feeling like it was a little more secure. It's got to be a kick off the short rail here for Ping Chung, and the key to this is don't baby it too much. I know there are balls near, but you don't want to lose the line. You want it to hold its line, and that's what happened. It spread on him a little bit.
Strike.
That's why speed was needed a bit more.
Ball in hand. Please start the clock.
It's been a theme throughout this great run he's been having over the last while, that he's sometimes started matches slowly, Ping Chung, and that theme to some extent is continuing here. Ouschan with the chance for 2-0.
Yeah, and these balls sit nice once he gets past the 3. You know, if you just replace one ball, you know, like switch to 5 and 6, and this rack becomes much more difficult. But now the 3, the 4 is pretty open. The 5 leads to that 6 and 7, and then he'll work the cue ball back down for the 8 and 9. A 9-ball pool, you'll see the great shots throughout the match. You'll see some tough decisions. Wow, he got a lot more on that ball than he expected. He didn't want to come that close to the side with the cue ball, but it's a lot about maintaining from shot to shot to shot. I mean, these players are going to be favored almost every shot they take on.
That's a word you use a lot, Jeremy, maintaining. So explain to us what you mean by that.
Well, it's just, you know, just staying consistent with it. You know, like I said, it's a long-term thing of knocking in what is a lot of routine shots for these players, but also they make it look routine with the position they play and such good cue ball control.
I thought actually Ping Chung really excelled in that way at the US Open. There were so many times when he was making it look so easy because he was just getting in the right position time after time after time.
Yeah, and it's rare that you find a match that players aren't given opportunity at some point or another. Now, some don't recognize the opportunity quite like others. There's differences of opinions on that, but you know, we talked about it last night that a lot of these matches start off with some open tables and, you know, some opportunity for one player, but you have to stay patient. Probably coming back to the long rail here. Speed is all he's needed. on the TV table again. Pocket's not easy, but they're playing a little easier than the tables they played on all week. And when Albin gets comfortable with the pocket, he just really starts to play the cue ball and forgets about the pocketing of the ball.
It's good to be back for Albin Ouschan. It's been a disappointing year for him, but thrilled to be here on the final day and so pleased with how he started this match. Albin Ouschan dominating the first 2 racks against Ping Chung. So we talked earlier about Albin Ouschan and the way he's been through his career. How would you describe Ping Chung as a player? Because he's been around for a while as well.
Yeah, well, he's, obviously one of the best now, our reigning U.S. Open 9-ball champion, but he's got titles as a junior. Kind of been in the shadows of his brother at times, and that's nothing but fair, how great his brother's been and the titles he's amassed throughout his short career. So, it seems like he's been around a long time too, but just probably 10 or 12 years. But Ping Chung steady, and he's always improving. I think he's gotten better at the long ball, which is going to help him take down these majors.
Albin Ouschan's taken down plenty of big titles over the years. And he's made a very good start to this semi-final. Could get even better. Ooh.
Well, you were looking at the 9. I was looking at the blue 2, and it's really nice for Albin here in game 3. And it's all about those little things that start these matches. You wouldn't call that 2-ball in the second game a huge error by Albin, but it was an opening, even though it wasn't easy for Ping Chung. So those are the little things that will separate players early in the match, and you never know, it can get away from one player.
Mentioned earlier, he's number 8 in the world, but that's a decline since the start of the year. Began 2023 at number 4 on the 1-year list, which is points gained so far in 23. Came into this tournament down in 24th place, which is remarkable for someone like Ouschan so late in the year.
I was going to say, watch out for that upper left corner, playing a heavy stun with a lot of left side. Now this is an awkward shot on the slick table, and this is where the slick table starts to become a little more demanding. You can't quite check the cue ball with side spin as much, especially certain shots. Fuller hits, those are the ones that are a problem, like here on the 3. May have to play underneath this Ping 4. I don't know if he can get above it for the short pocket. The angle's not too great. He's close to it. The stretch, that may be the real issue here on the Ping 4.
Albin Ouschan has been around for such a long time now. Won his first big event over a decade ago. Became world champion for the first time in 2014. Sorry, reached the final for the first time in 2014 and then won it for the first time in 16. And had such a tough run towards the end of that championship. Jason Shaw in the quarters, Alex Pagulayan in the semis. And then pretty much the ultimate test in the modern game, Shane Van Bonen in the final.
Not sure the worry, a little shake of the head. Looks very natural to me to come 1 rail above. Could play from underneath. But I think there's tons of angle to avoid the 8, 1 cushion. May get a little bit of a cut on the 7, but shouldn't be a problem.
You know, we've seen Ping Chung have some great runs of racks in a row over the last few weeks. Won all 11 in the semi-final in Atlantic City. Finished the final with 10 in a row. And 7 in a row in the quarter-final here last night. And when Albin Ouschan was at his very best, he excelled at that sort of relentless play as well, where he would just not give his opponent any leeway, any way back into the contest. And that's how he started this one. 2 break and runs already. Albin Ouschan entirely dominant in these early exchanges, racing out into a 3-0 lead. Albin Ouschan has been away from occasions like this for too long. But now that he has returned to the final day of a big event, he's marking his return in fine style. Excellent start. This is the way he used to play pretty much all the time a couple of years ago. He leads Ping Chung by 3 racks to 0. 11 required for a place in the final against Jason Shaw.
Fans here in Hanoi recognizing that Albin Ouschan missed that one in the side and now a dry break.
Yeah, first of the match. Look at the intensity on those faces and how closely they're following the match. And It's amazing to see in a country that's never had an event like this before that it's already gripped them so much. It just shows how big pool culture is here. And that's in terms of participation and general interest. Now that's been converted into mass interest to coming to this fine venue to watch the best players in the world.
Absolutely. If you get out in the city, of course, there's billiard centers all over. Every one of them seems to be state of the art. Beautiful places. 60, 70 tables, 50 tables. Most of them are 24 hours just because the action is nonstop on the 9-ball scene here. You can see he can get at a spin shot on the 1, getting a rail first, but it really is risky. Plus, offers no position on the blue 2. You'll come down that long rail on the bottom of your screen. So he's going to roll out, maybe push the 4 on the side rail or underneath the 6, trying to make things difficult for the 2. This is how matches start. You have to, one player has to kind of earn their way into a win or 2.
Albin Ouschan's campaign did not exactly get off to a promising start. He really struggled against the little-known Singapore player, Darren Young, in his first match. Just won that 9-8. Close again in winner's qualification against Antonius Kakaris, came through 9-7.
Interesting. Albin must love the shot because, like I said, unless he runs into the 7, I don't really see any position. Oh, he's going to catch the 3, and that's the gamble. He didn't want to pass it back. Did fancy himself to make the 1, but just didn't feel like position was going to be there. He was able to play with a hair of outside, dodging the scratch off the red 3. Probably just wanting to make the 1 and get control of the table if possible. This is difficult. I think he may have an edge. Most likely not. Can get behind the blue 2. This one here, he wants to bleed the cue ball back between the 3 and 8 towards the 9 as the 2 ball goes up table. Won't hit this real hard, like a medium speed. Oh, he dug on the ball, trying to come back behind the 9. So things going Albin's way so far, of course, with some great play to start. Is the jump really possible here, Michael? Looks like the purple 5 is just a mile away from the cue ball here. Maybe it's the 9 that's the problem.
Well, while things are going his way, he's got to make the most of it, hasn't he? Because we've seen how Ping Chung can turn a match around. So while you've got the chance to build a big lead, when you have the momentum, you've got to take it to protect yourself against his recovery powers. Well, he's made the contact, but once he had done so, never looked likely to get it safe.
Yeah, it's always nice not to give up ball in hand, of course, but actually maybe a little more difficult than ball in, I mean, a little easier than ball in hand was with the 2 stuck on the side rail. I think he's got a perfect angle to drop below the 3 now. Maybe 2 rails between the black 8 and the red 3. And again, these aren't easy pockets by any means, especially with the nerves. But when you're not so worried about the pocket, I think that's where Albin really can become dangerous and not give Ping Chung a lot of table time. A little bit missable ball on the side. He's going to play it there because he can go up the side rail with the cue ball and handle the pink 4 from distance if needed. See the crowds here in Vietnam, incredible. Not just here on Final Sunday, but they've been like that all week.
What a wonderful thing to see for anyone who wants to see the game continue to grow, to show that we can come to a new country like this and play in a big indoor arena and have all those people watching. And very encouraging when you consider All the talk about various other countries that Matchroom are looking to stage big events in for the first time over the next couple of years.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when you talk about pool, you know, a lot is in place. I mean, there's a huge fan base worldwide. I think it can grow immensely bigger. The amateur side of the game is incredible. The professional side's been there for a while, but nothing like the World 9-Ball Tour is doing and really growing the game worldwide.
Albin Ouschan, as I was mentioning, world champion for the first time in 2016, then won it again, coming from 9-7 down, winning 6 racks in a row to beat Omar Al-Shaheen 2021. And that was at a time when he was having just such a wonderful run throughout that year.
And Albin just knows the slick table so well. Like there, he knew if he got into the ball, there was a threat of that upper left corner, so he knew to just float into position, knowing the 8 and 9's very handy.
When Ouschan was having all that success a couple of years ago, scenes like this were very familiar. Ball after ball, rack after rack. Dominating against opponents of all levels. Right here, he's playing one of the 4 men of World 9-Ball at the moment, and he's totally in control. So Ping Chung managed to make contact when he was hooked, but left the chance from which Ouschan has, in his usual clinical way, advanced to 4-0. Yeah, talked about how hard it was for him to get to single elimination, 2 close matches along the way, and then when he got to the final 64, 10-5 win over very experienced British player Chris Melling. The big moment, of course, was the next round against Shane Van Boning. Repeat of 2 world finals they've contested in the past. Started well, won the first 2 racks, lost the next 7. Then Ouschan turned it around to win 10-8. Went on from there to win yesterday 10-6 against Alex Kazakis. 10-3, an impressive scoreline against David Al-Kaidi, who still, I'm sure, is on a high after returning to the big time himself by winning the European Open a couple of months ago in Germany. 4-0 to the Austrian.
Put a little more speed into that break shot as well. More action on the 9. Now much more difficult push out, and the way Albin started, he usually stays or gets better. So kind of feel like it was something to do with opportunity maybe to slow him down. Maybe Ping Chung coming with a big shot. It's got to be something like that. I feel it's going to be a fairly mistake-free semifinal for Albin Ouschan.
And again, that was what he was like a couple of years ago. You mentioned mistake-free there. He missed very, very little during that run he had. Around about 21 and most of 22.
Well, to be fair, I mean, we played with a softer pocket generally then from tournament to tournament. And these players are so smart with the cue ball. They understand when the pocket's playing a hair light or hair easy. He's coming 2 rows behind this, trying to get back behind the pink with the cue ball. Just a hair top with a little right. And he knew there was a possibility of leaving a shot, but he knew it wasn't going to be easy. And the reason why he took that on is, where are you really going to push out to? Very difficult. But as we were talking about a moment ago, it's real solid in the head. He's not going to make many bad decisions. And so good when the pocket's playing a hair friendly.
Ping Chung was not only beaten in his first match here, but heavily so by young Philippines player Bernie Regalario. So had to win 3 matches on the loser's side to make it to the single elimination stage. 2 straightforward wins and then pushed to 9-6 by Tolian Han. could have turned out a good deal worse for him.
Yeah, you could see a group there with the 2, 3, and 6. Another little nasty group on the side, or 2 balls, the 7, 9. So we'll see a lot of different things here in rack number 5. Should be a safety here from Albin Ouschan.
Ping Chung must love getting out into the arena these days. He's been winning so many matches. He also won a tournament in the Philippines a couple of months ago, so the US Open success wasn't out of the blue by any means. And of course, he'll have walked down those steps in front of this big crowd. So eager to get stuck in, but really so far he hasn't had any chance to.
Great hit there. He's going to need some help. This isn't easy by any means, but playable. Now this one's funny. He can't just draw across. It's kind of sitting to where that side pocket on the top of your screen could be a problem. Going forward really leaves a much longer shot, so he's got to kind of stun the ball past the side. If he got anywhere near the opposite spot, near the head string, he'd be very satisfied. Really good.
Boy, has he got to be feeling really good. He's been going out early in tournaments, cutting a frustrated figure on the circuit. Never more so, really, Jeremy, than at the Premier League earlier in the year. A tournament he'd effectively won for both of the previous 2 years. The first of those, it was known as the Championship League, but just bowed out with a succession of pretty dreadful performances. Had made it to the second phase, but finished bottom of that. His game just disintegrated, really, over the weekend in Leicester.
Well, I think, to be fair on that, you know, players know they're struggling a bit more than, you know, us as commentators, that's for sure. They're the ones in the practice room knowing things aren't maybe going as well as they want. Of course, results or not, lack of results can build up and become a serious headache, especially when you're spending so much time trying to get it right and so much travel involved. But it's just a shot like that will show you. He knows he can use the rail a little bit, and that makes a huge difference mentally with some of these players. I think when we're on the little bit tougher pockets, I think it really opens the field. Some think the opposite, but and I guess it just goes from player to player. Now, can he do much with the 7? He put a lot into that, so he's going to carry a heavy angle on the 6. Does he have to go into the 7-9? Was he going to try and play a bank on the 7? Don't think the 7 plays so easily in the side. Could be wrong there. Boy, decisions here, and this, I wouldn't say he's ideal on the combination, but he got good enough to where it's a very big consideration moving forward and keeping Ping Chung in his chair, especially because the safety is a little awkward. So I got to believe he's going to play the combo. And this is where he can cheat the pocket a little bit, but it'll be a light speed so he doesn't lose the 7.
He's just not putting a foot wrong so far in this match.
Well, you said it earlier, that big comeback against SVB had to be a good one to go to bed on that night and sleep easy and get a lot of confidence moving forward in this event. Okay, does he move the ball a lot here? I think he can. Maybe plays short side for the 9 and the middle on the bottom of your screen.
Not ideal, but the way he's playing and the way he's potting so far, I think you'd back him all day long.
Yeah, we all love tickets on the 50-yard line, but it's not the best thing in 9-ball pool, I'll tell you. These sides that are probably playing more difficult than the corners. Got a little snatchy with it there, Michael. Stroke was a little quick.
Again, you can sense how involved the crowd are already in this match. When the big moments come, they draw a big reaction.
And you can sense how big this shot is for Ping Chung and his movement towards the final. Just to get off of zero here. Yeah, he just hasn't had it yet. He's going to get a little fortunate not to leave a cupcake on the 9 for Albin, but very similar to that shot he missed earlier on the 2-ball down the rail. Hit it quite thick. A lot of times that's a little nerves and you kind of quit the stroke at impact a little instead of just accelerating on through. Now, does he go for the bank, knowing his opponent struggling a bit to get started? Or does he lay the 9 on the bottom rail as the cue ball goes upstairs?
Hanoi is famous for its mopeds and scooters that speed around the city. And right here, it's all one-way traffic. Albin Ouschan leads 6-0. Well, getting slightly carried away there. That was to make it 5. The same start that Jason Shaw had in his first semi-final earlier today, winning all of the first 5 racks. Well, it was pretty close to perfection again, wasn't it? Just left himself with a testing 9. Ping Chung wasn't able to take advantage of it, and much as we're seeing, Jeremy, the Albin Ouschan of a couple of years ago coming back, the performance from Ping Chung is totally unfamiliar to us from the player we've seen over the last number of months.
Yeah, well, he hasn't really got that easy shot to get started. And, you know, that's how it is on matches, so you have to stay patient. He knows what's going on. He's going to buy his time until something a little more friendly. This is the problem. Albin breaking the balls very well, so he's going to keep control and see how comfortable he is and how this really lays. He may put the cue ball here in a moment behind the black 8 and really limit any type of kick shot for Ping Chung.
As the pockets have been made tighter and tighter, it's become obviously harder to produce that sort of relentless ball after ball form that Ouschan was in a couple of years ago. So do you think maybe that's been why he hasn't featured so much? He's had to relearn things to a certain extent?
Absolutely. I think it's happened to a few players out there that were so smart with the cue ball and so smart percentage-wise. I think Al-Kaidi had to go through that a little bit and recognize, and then he put in a little time. It becomes a little mental, but once you get over it, you're going to have a big advantage. You know, we saw him struggling at the beginning of the year with the tighter pockets, and he put in some time going to some smaller events to get some confidence, and then it really shined through there in Fulda at the European Open. And I've said it for a while. Also, what happens is with the tighter pockets, I don't care if you're in form or not, you're not going to quite run out as much. So you're going to see some of the players that are down that totem pole a little bit get a little more playing time and get a little more confidence. And we've seen that with Alexa Pacell, Sanjin, Beisterbosch, I think, earlier in the year, Bijas Labudas.
Yeah, so many players have had their big moments. There's been such a spread of success on the tour this year in its very biggest events.
He needed that. Now look at the cue ball. Is going to dress up right on the 2. I think he does have a pocket, but does the 3 play? That was definitely by design. I think the 3 may go by the purple 5. We'll see. Huge rack here, the 6th. And I'll tell you, another, just to get on the board for one thing, but to go to the commercial break, right? Trailing 6-0, not having much opportunity. That could become very mental.
Hanging on every single ball they're seeing. Well, what's going on with Ping Chung? This is not even a shadow of the player we saw in Atlantic City a couple of weeks ago. No question he's feeling it out there big time.
I'll tell you, Albin Ouschan has applied a lot of heat, and the little opportunities that Ping Chung has had besides that one there have been difficult.
And of course, Ouschan, with all his experiences, recognizing surely the signs he's getting from Ping Chung. He knows this is there for the taking, and the way his opponent's feeling at the moment, he could build an almost unassailable lead here.
Yeah, is he going to go offensive or just put him behind the green 6? Pretty easy safety behind the green. Oh, he could go offensive. Okay, he's going to have to make a bit of a tester here on the 5. He's going to have to command the speed. The 6 is playable, but you can't just go anywhere with the cue ball. Now, does he have to put a little side on this to avoid the scratch where the cue ball's at now? I think a straight high ball, he's okay. He's overcut it. He's overcut it. And any of those shots, you can use the long rail a little bit. And you can see the fans want this match to turn around, get a little closer.
And this is just the sort of chance Ping Chung needs. Needs to get a few balls under his belt. Clearly he needs to win a rack. And this is about as straightforward a run out of 5 balls as you could hope to have.
Yeah, very minimal cue ball movement needed. And like I said, to go to the break at 5-1, a little uncharged timeout with the commercial break. A great time to regroup. And we saw a comeback from him last night in the quarterfinals. He's been here before.
Yeah, in the US Open final as well. Okay, he was never in this sort of situation, but he was 6-3 down to Federer Gorst and just took total control after that. So Ouschan knows what his opponent is capable of in that regard, and he also knows he missed a chance to put himself further out of sight. Finally, Ping Chung has got himself started in this semi-final. Albin Ouschan leads by 5 racks to 1.
chưa thể đến được với người ở trên khán đài phía xa. And very nice you get you guys. And now please may I have your okay. Và cảm ơn mọi người, chúng ta sẽ còn quay lại với các trận đấu tiếp theo.
Albin Ouschan is very much in control of this semi-final, but he could have been even more so. Looked like he was going to go 6-0, but an unexpected miss, his first of the match really, let Ping Chung back in with a fairly easy run of 5 balls to open his account here. Now he breaks for the first time in the match, 5-1 down.
Well, just a foot and a half from the 2, a great break, making the 1. But elevated over the 9, and this is going to be some work for our referee. Moving the template.
During the break there, we had David O'Cady, Francisco Sanchez Ruiz, and Max Lechner coming out into the arena and throwing Hanoi Open shirts into the crowd. And some of the people who caught them, it was like they'd won the trophy itself. Just shows how much this event has captured the imagination here.
Yeah, I think those were some signed jerseys as well.
Oh, they were signed, were they?
Yeah.
Oh, even better.
I think good stuff for the fans, and of course they deserve it.
I think if
Been
they
really lucky here on the World 9-Ball Tour this year. Sorry, Michael, but
I was going to say if they were throwing, oh, there we can see one of the shirts. Yeah, if it was signed cue balls they were throwing into the crowd, they'd probably still be happy about it.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think the bank goes here, and you can't get a lot of speed on this being elevated. You hate to play just a really simple safety here, but I may just kind of bunt the 2 to the bottom rail in the middle diamond and try and just float above the 9. If he likes the bank, I don't mind that as well. I think he's got a decent chance, a little bit of a favorite to make the bank. Oh, he's going to catch the 6. He wants the cue ball to travel. And it will, but Albin will have a few little options on the blue 2.
Ouschan actually looked like he might start the year on a massive high, because he got as far as the quarterfinals of the World Championship, and some of the big names have been beaten. Looked like a very good chance to get that record equaling 3rd world title, and was surprisingly beaten by Mohamed Soufi, who went all the way to the final. Doesn't really seem to have put that behind him until this week in Hanoi.
Well, I personally kind of felt that match really bothered him for a while, and he played a very odd match. If you remember the push out the first game, he pushed out to a place that he would never push out against a known player, and then from there just played some odd shots through, and of course Soufi was an incredible story, and we'll see more of him on the World 9-Ball Tour. But so he wants to float above the 9, really wants to use the 9 a lot here as far as the snooker is concerned, and very good speed. Tell you, at first glance, this could be an odd kick here. I don't think it's so easy to come underneath the 6 and get at the 2. The table's slick, so you may have to elevate the cue if he goes that route. Try and dig on the cue ball a little bit.
Extension full.
quad kick going up the table as well. Now kind of doing his calculations on the 2-rail kick underneath. I think he's got to elevate the cue here. If he levels out, he may not contact that blue 2. Now he's going to go to the top rail. This is kind of a bare ball. It's a little off the rail, easy to scratch behind it. Yeah, I thought it was one you could miss.
Please start the clock.
Yeah, and that's what happens, it seems like. It's almost like the pool gods know how, you know, the game's kind of developed as they go along right there. Ping Chung had a chance to win that last game, didn't take it down, and then Albin fumbled again to get him back on the scoreboard. Ping Chung breaks, very difficult situation. After a failed bank tip, Albin Ouschan back in control.
As I was saying earlier, Ouschan has declined from number 4 at the start of the year to number 8 in the world rankings. He can't make huge strides in terms of position, moving back up whatever happens here over the 2 matches he hopes to play today. He's guaranteed to move up at least 1 place to number 7. That wouldn't actually change by winning this match, and even if he won the final, that would only bring him up another place to number 6. What it would do, though, would be bring him closer to the players above him in terms of points and give him a chance to move back to the sort of ranking you would expect someone like Ouschan to be in. And it's something that increasingly means a lot to these players these days. I'm sure there are half a dozen, maybe 8 or 10 players who feel they have it in them to be world number 1. Francisco Sanchez Ruiz has been there for a long time now and pretty strong in that position because all those points he got for winning events like the World Championship and the US Open, they won't start to come off for around another year.
Yeah, I didn't understand that shot there unless he's very settled playing the 7-8 combination. Had a lot of options to get on the 6 to get a more natural angle to get to the backside of the 7 one way or another, but I think the combination is what we're going to see here in a moment. And he's going to be some distance away, so very missable ball here. And again, a player that is so good between the ears, and he was in a great position on the 5, like I said, to get many different places on the 6, and now taking on a tough one.
Already made another combination on the other side of the table from similar sort of range a few racks ago. Made this one as well. Not finished ideal by any means.
No, I think he expected some kind of contact on the brown 7 going forward with the cue ball. Narrowly missed it. We'll see the cue ball and the brown 7 together a couple times there as they passed each other. Now decisions. It's the type of bank shot the players really like to take on. He might do it twice. Could be twice.
Okay, so the big roar of anticipation goes up. But this is far from certain here. And how many times do we say it when you're playing it from distance and the ball is near the pocket? There's only so much control you can have over what the cue ball is going to do.
Yeah, and he struggled with the longer shot so far in this match.
Not with this one, though. Albin Ouschan could have won all 7 of these racks. He did win the first 5. But 2 in a row now for Ping Chung. He's getting right back into this one. It's 5-2. Yeah, I mentioned earlier about Ping Chung's scenic route to the final 64. Once he got there, it was pretty straightforward for the next couple of matches. 10-1 against Jose Alberto Delgado, and then 10-4 against Francesco Candela, who we saw playing for Italy in the World Cup in Spain over the summer. But such a dramatic day for him yesterday. Played Max Lechner in the last 16 and got off to a great start, but steadily it turned around. Found himself 9-7 down. Stayed in the match, got it back to 9-8. And the kick shot combination from distance, 1-9 to take it hill-hill, and another combination, 3-9 this time, to leave Lechner looking absolutely crestfallen. But perhaps the greater drama was to come later in the day against Kyle Amoroto. He was 8-3 down there. Amoroto later had a 9-ball, would have put him 9-5 up. But once he'd missed that, it was all Ping Chung, and he turned it round to win 10-8. So played a lot of racks yesterday. Looks like he's going to have to play a lot to win this match, because he was 5-0 down, but he's made some inroads already. 5-2.
Okay. Still can't be too upset. He's going to have to, you know, when you make a few mistakes early, you got to grind it out. He can cue the ball. Got to be happy the way he's breaking. So I don't think the lead is too much of a worry. He's got a very doable safety here with a couple different ways he can get at it. He can play the 3 underneath that group of balls or the cue ball underneath the 6. I kind of like cutting the 3 underneath the 6 myself. I think this leans towards more of a mistake, trying to get that cue ball buried behind the green 6. I like coming off his left side of the 3, cutting the 3 underneath the 6, 7, 8. You have such a big area up the table to play the cue ball. It's almost impossible not to get the snooker, really. This one also has a little more pressure on it where you could miss your mark. Really good, though.
Sometimes a well-judged safety like that can aid the process of settling into the match, which I think he's still going through to some extent, as much as a wonderful pot.
Yeah, and does he go for the soft kick here to just lay on the 3, knowing it doesn't pass the purple 5 in the upper corner? Albin, one of the best at kicking at the ball, and one of Vietnam's favorites right there, Fedor Gors.
Yeah, he's in the quarterfinals here, runner-up in the US Open a couple of weeks ago. He'll be playing for your American team in the Mosconi Cup in December, Jeremy.
Absolutely, and this is, I think, going to give up a shot, and should be a good one. So, well-struck safety, and a very well-earned shot behind it. Just a little one-rail position going right at the pink. Really, to get the arm going, the type of out you want. Not a whole lot of stress.
Yeah, absolutely. We talked about those 5 balls that he needed to get his first rack on the board a little earlier, and it was just ideal for him, really. Similar chance here, so looked very out of sorts early on, but steadily playing his way into this contest. When Ouschan led 5-0, the target of 11 would have been starting to just appear over the distant horizon. Might now be starting to feel like it's still some way off for Ouschan.
Yeah, a lot of times we talk about these matches being a 2 or 3 part series, it seems like, and ups and downs we've seen in these races to 9, 10, and 11, you know, 5, 6, 7 lead changes.
Well, we're already guaranteed a closer match than the first semi-final. From 5-0 down, Sanjin Pelovanovic got back to 5-2 against Jason Shaw. Didn't win another rack. Ping Chung was 5-0 down here, but he's now won 3 in a row. Just watching Fedor up on the screen there, Jeremy, that's been another thing about this week, this star appeal that these players have here. They've all played up to it. They've all embraced it, and they whip up the crowd like we saw with Jason earlier. Federer there was clearly loving the moment because they go to a lot of places in the world. It isn't like this. They aren't such familiar names. They are really having the time of their lives here.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think it's been a warm welcome everywhere they've gone, but really treated like the superstars they are here in Hanoi, and people have come up from all over Asia as well to watch this event, and it's going to be one on the calendar for some time.
I think there are actually more people now, a lot more than there were for the first semi-final. There's a whole section of the upper tier that you can't really see on camera that didn't have that many people in it earlier on, and even that section, as well as the rest of the upper tier, is now pretty much full as well. There is Francisco Sanchez Ruiz. He knows about big occasions over the last 18 months to 2 years. This time he's a spectator, and I'm sure he's enjoying this.
Okay, the blue two's kind of up the table by itself. Not the best hit on the one that time, a little thin. That's why we see a ton of congestion near the rack. Maybe a little fortunate to get the one down there. Don't think he's attacking here. He can chop on the two, come 2 rails. Now the one thing he could do is he could take a stab at this 2 with a high left ball, trying to come 2 rails for the safety while gaining shape. That'd be in position on the red 3 as well. But the type of shot though, you could hang the 2 and leave an easy jump. Okay, I like this. Cue ball, I don't know if he'll get the snooker he wants. He's going to leave a gap, I think. And I think he was worried about hanging the 2 maybe if he played the cue ball, you know, a little more on point. Or let's say putting the 2 nearer a pocket. That's a better way to say it. All right, when a player stands behind the ball like that, that usually means they're attacking. Playing a bit of a two-way as well, by design.
Such an intense figure, Albin Ouschan. Lives every ball, every moment of the match. Pours every last drop of concentration into it. Builds his life around the game, looks after himself so well.
So we talked about it early, you know, we're starting to see those exchanges between the players. Seems like the layouts and the racks change as the match moves on. I think this 2 ball is shootable, but not easy to get shape. Very straight. May have caught too much of this. Big mistake from Ouschan. One thing that we haven't alluded on about Albin, of course, and something we normally do, is sometimes he can get a little negative after he makes a mistake or two, and really no matter the score. So I think he's worked on that. I think we saw him get better and better the last year and a half or so mentally. But when you have a struggle with that, I think it's a constant battle. I don't think it's something that's ever like, oh, it's fixed now, especially when it's something that's more mental than physical.
Well, that's it. There may not be so many outward displays of frustration and anger as he's perhaps had in the past, but you don't know what's going on underneath the surface. He's such a perfectionist, he's bound to be frustrated at the way things have turned around here. Could have been 7-0 up.
Yeah, good point there, Michael. And of course, we know the conditions are difficult. It's a little warm in the building.
Well, I saw him leaving the arena for a moment a few racks ago, and the sweat was just dripping off his face, and he had a towel trying to mop it up. That's all got to be contended with as well.
Yeah, it's not track and field out here, but the adrenaline certainly does get going in 9-ball pool, especially as much as these players want it. And what a shot there from Ping Chung. I don't know if he fell correctly to be able to get position onto the 5. 5 tucked away a little bit. The problem is, can he go forward to get underneath? Is the brown 7 in the way of the movement of the cue ball? I think this is awkward. There's a problem here. He may just hold the cue ball and play safe on the 5. Big game here at 5-3. Oh, that's the brown 7 I was worried about. Feel a little shift in momentum if he can fight through this very difficult rack.
Yeah, it was heading in the right direction, but it never really looked like it quite had the pace to get there.
Yeah, well, he wasn't trying to make it. You saw him stitch the cue ball behind
Sure,
the
yeah,
green
he didn't
6.
want it in, yeah.
But the problem is now these players know how to get it every pocket, whether it be a kick shot or a jump shot. The jump not an option, but you got to believe as far as making the purple 5, Albin Ouschan a little favorite here. Little draw stroke to bend the ball.
It's been such a hard-fought rack.
Yeah, not faulting Ping Chung, but he got down and played the safety pretty quickly.
He did,
the 5 did play in the middle. I mean, it wasn't an easy shot, but one I thought he was going to take on.
Yeah, I was surprised by that as well, and nearly all went against him with the 5 dropping in. He would have had to figure out what to do with the 6. Now, what a chance for Ouschan to reassert himself. It's still going to take some work. He didn't look confident playing that.
Yeah, I was a little shocked at the speed he shot it. I really like a little more conviction on those shots. Not saying you're going to fire it, really. That's never going to be the case, but he knew it right away.
This crowd didn't get a close finish or anything like it in the first semi-final. Listen to the way they're reacting to every significant incident. As early as the 9th rack here. If this one goes close, imagine the atmosphere we'll have.
Or you can hear lots of little conversations going on between the fans at the moment. They've been really just great, respectful fans as well. Really clean stroke there, one of his best.
Feels like a totally different match now, doesn't it? Ouschan led 5-0. He had the chances to go even further in front. Two big semi-finals back-to-back. You certainly don't want to see them both turn into runaways. The first one certainly was in favour of Jason Shaw, 11-2 against Sanyan Pelovanovic. This one was threatening to be much the same when Albin Ouschan led Ping Chung by 5 racks to 0. Everything has changed. Ping Chung is now breaking at only 5-4 behind.
Yeah, and kind of feel like he's going to get a shot after the break as long as he keeps the cue ball on the table. The one he's shown us is, I can't say a given, but pretty good odds he makes the one in the side. And now again, a look at the 2, but odd. Not easy to pocket the ball and maybe even harder to gain shape.
Tell you what, though, once he starts making that one in that side pocket consistently, we know what can happen. We saw that against Aloysius Yap at the US Open. It was just one of the most relentless displays we've ever seen. Now, what's he eyeing up here, JJ?
Well, he knows the blue 2's going to the right corner. He wants to stay offensive, so feels like the cue ball is going to go into the 9, maybe catch the top of the 9. This isn't the most friendly shot to hit with speed with a high ball, but he feels like he'll go into the 3-7 maybe. Like that, trying to gamble for position, a little unlucky. And that's the big part of 9-ball pool. We see them, once these players get in position, they keep position, but at times you have to take chances. And you can't blame that one there. It just hasn't worked out yet. Tell you what, hard not to kick at this long rail, just so makeable for these players off that top cushion. What he's looking at, and this is hard because if you'd like to, in a perfect world, play it with a 2-rail speed to clip the 3 and come up on the 9 with the cue ball, but if you get underneath it, you may not get a cushion. So I think he's going to put some speed in this. He's missed it completely. And I don't know about that. You know, hard to fault any of these players, but when he had the kick to the top cushion that not only I think was makeable for him, but maybe trying to get a little too much out of that kick shot right there where contact, and things been going his way the last few minutes, the last few racks. I think if he kicks to the top rail, he makes it about half the time, and you could still get lucky going that way as well.
It's felt over the last few racks like Albin Ouschan is just waiting for that moment to start turning things back in his favour. This could be it, but not entirely where he wanted to be on the 4.
No, but it's such a clear part of the table in the center. He can come 2 cushions tightly out of the lower left corner and just float into position on the purple 5. Should be a problem.
Remarkable to think Ouschan came into this tournament at number 12 in the European Mosconi Cup standings. Came into today still with a chance of making those 3 automatic spots. That's gone now after Jason Shaw's win. I think it would be a surprise if he didn't make the team, if he's won this tournament today. And even the fact that he's shown some form again, when you consider all his experience in the game. He's made quite a case, but he's making hard work of this.
Yeah, and then, you know, it's easy, and I see Alvin sometimes get involved with perfect, and I think right there, look how open the table is on the right. The 7's not hard to cut in from where the cue ball position, like say the cue ball is where the green 6 is. Very playable 7. He was trying to come 2 rails into position to get that perfect angle to come over. Well, perfect wasn't really necessary here, and I think he's lucky to get this much out of the cue ball, really. The 6, anytime the 6 is like a diamond off the side rail, you can do a lot of things. You don't have to carry the perfect angle, especially when the 7, 8, 9 are very playable. Easy to overcut this one. Ooh. And that right there is definitely shows you that the pocket's playing a little easier than most have on the World 9-Ball Tour this year.
Described the last rack as hard fought. His visit to the table comes into the same category for Ouschan. He's made a fight of it all on his own here. But it's a fight he's surely going to win now. And this looks like being that moment that may just turn it back in his favour. So, lost 4 racks in a row. But via a few struggles, he's won this one, so Ouschan now leads 6-4. We saw after the last rack there, both of the players came to the back of the arena when we had the brief interval, and Ouschan was chatting with his fellow Austrians, Max Lechner and Mario He, both of whom he's played World Cup with, and clearly they were going to be discussing what's going on here, what can I do to turn it round. You think of Ping Chung, he's got his brothers. It feels like everyone on the tour has got their own little support team. You think of Jason, actually, it's probably our colleague Carl and 1 or 2 of the other British players. That can be such a big help when you're a long way from home and playing in these big matches, to have that support team that's always there for you.
Yeah, absolutely. We talk about a few that don't, and it seems like they're, that's hurting them at times, not having, that power to bounce things off of, enjoy some dinners with, of course, talk about pool as much as you can, but just general life, and it makes a difference. As comfortable as you can be, the more comfortable you can be, the better you're going to play.
I know you were basically a one-man support team for Shane Van Boning at the World Championship last year, and you were a big help to him on the way to winning that world title, beating this man in the final, Ouschan. 2 clear again at 6-4.
I've been really impressed with his break. He's certainly improved it. Doesn't always work out, but you can see the one on the side has been on point so far for Ouschan. Looks like it's, I don't know if he's snookered here or not. Looks pretty good to me. It doesn't take much. I guess the pink 4 has got him cut off just a little bit. Otherwise, he's got a nice lane to cut the 2 in and come up and down the table between the 6 and 7.
Push out pool.
Prior to this, the one high point in Ouschan's year really came in the World Cup of Pool, a tournament he's won a couple of times with Austria, had also been in the final on another occasion. They had a great chance, Ouschan and Mario He, to what would have been a record equaling 3rd World Cup title. We're 1 rack away from the final before finally bowing out to the eventual winners, the Philippines. Now what's happened here, JJ?
Yeah, push out. Ping Chung wants to take it on. It's not the easiest shot. On your club table, you can check the ball with English. The felt's worn in, putting him behind the 7 as the 2 comes down table.
Albin, please play again.
Not too difficult, but this one here, I believe, is very difficult. And it looks like he's going to pass it back. Huge part of the game at any level, especially the best in the world. And, of course, winning matches. Now, can he bank the 2 kind of by the 7 and kind of casually go behind the 3 as the 2 comes down table? He can go off the right side and run the ball, but I think he's going to try and use the 7. Okay, he's going to chip off the side. Watch out for the glance off the pink 4. What will be a very good pass, even though a good effort from Albin Ouschan. Ping Chung wins the battle of the push out here in game number 11.
And the hum of anticipation that's becoming so familiar here in Hanoi echoes around the arena once again.
Well, I'll tell you, the camera shows us there's a little angle. But on the slick table, if you get involved with really trying to power this ball, I think you're taking a big chance at missing. That's the problem. He doesn't have a ton of options, but I like the draw stroke here. sweet, sweet one there. Like to bottle that one, Michael. Now is he sizing up for a 5-9 combination to cut this lead back to 1? Still got the red 3 and the pink 4, but you can see that on the bottom cushion. And that should do nicely. Just going to go forward with the cue ball. It doesn't have to get all the way down, kind of to the bottom rail to play the combination, but he's got to get past the 8.
He was thinking exactly the same way as you, Jeremy. From 5-0 down, got back to 1 behind at 5-4, and once again he trails by just a single rack. It's now Ping Chung 5, Albin Ouschan 6. The push-out situation there, Jeremy, doesn't come up in every rack, but it comes up in quite a lot of them. We know with a lot of these big events, there are new people who come to the game and haven't seen it before. So just explain to us what we were seeing there and what the push-out is all about.
Well, the incoming player or the breaker, if the breaker makes a ball on the break and doesn't like his position, they have one free option after the break to declare push-out and roll the cue ball out anywhere they want. And then the incoming player has the option to take the shot or pass it back. Now on a dry break, for instance, the incoming player has that same option of a push out if they don't like the position after the break shot. Big part of the game. Actually, 9-ball used to be played full time with a push out. Every shot you could actually push out if you didn't like it. They changed to 1 foul, but kept the push out option after the break only, and it's a good one.
Trading 6 racks to 5.
And a big part of our game, and it seems like hill, it always comes down to a push out.
Ko has now won 5 of the last 6 racks.
Okay, we've seen a little variations of breaks, but the 2-ball coming near, a little awful bump. Look at the cue ball over the pink. Okay, again, a little thin on the 1. That's why not as much of a spread around the table. Now, what kind of decision does he make with some very awful cueing? And I'm not sure position is even offered. A lot of times when you're cueing like this, you want to find something that's very natural, meaning you can just roll off one side, maybe get a safety here. Don't want to have to do anything with side spin or any speed. Be hard pressed to think he's going to go for this. I think he's going to cut it a little on his left and try and go into the 9 with the cue ball. Very lightly. He's overcut it a mile. And I think Ping Chung, for the most part, has had a look after almost all breaks, but none of them have been very nice at all.
Yeah, I think that's a fair summary of things. 2 balls down off the break, but in all kinds of awkwardness there. It's all led to a chance for Ouschan to again go 2 clear.
Yeah, he's pretty perfect here. He's just got to roll forward a little bit, maybe almost to the center of the table. He wants to carry an angle on the pink to easily come back for the purple.
Become a champion and you have that mentality, you're always looking to back it up, and the best way to do that is in the very next big event. That's what Ping Chung has come here to do.
Okay, the main thing for Albin, he's got options. Keep the cue ball off the cushion when he comes back for the purple. Only way I really feel like, besides a miss we don't expect, is if he comes back and falls on the cushion kind of awkwardly where he really can't work the cue ball much.
that burst he had at the start of the match, you would have regarded him as borderline certain to complete this clearance, but it's not been quite so smooth from since then.
Okay, he wants to get in a stop position on the 6. That'll offer an easy shot on the 7 and the side. Should be a couple side pockets, and well, he came up with the cue ball. That's interesting. I guess he can easily go by the 9. How's the speed, Michael? That's got to slow down.
Yeah.
That's got to slow down a bit. I didn't see the speed on the shot coming. Kind of surprised me a bit.
So another rack that he's having to fight for all the way to the finish. But it's going to go his way now. He's led all the way through this match. And now he's only 4 away from winning it. Albin Ouschan, a couple clear once again against Ping Chung in this semi-final. It's 7-5. Welcome back to the Hanoi Open semi-final action. Jason Shaw resting up somewhere, no doubt, after his very comfortable 11-2 win over Sanyan Pelovanovic earlier today. The Scot awaits the winner of this one, and at the moment, Albin Ouschan is on course to come through. He was 5-0 up. It's now 7-5 in his favour against Ping Chung. And Ouschan, having won the previous rack, breaks in number 13. So accustomed to big finals. He's actually been in more World 9-Ball Championship finals than any other player in history. It doesn't end there by any means. He's also very familiar with World Cup final, and of course the most intense focus you can have in the game in terms of the spotlight being on you. All those Mosconi Cups he's played. Really thirsting for another big final. Just starting to come into view now.
Yeah, I'm not really sure what he has here, Michael. Yeah, he's got to get a lot into it, and I'll tell you, I'd be worried about the purple 5 a little bit. Could lose the cue ball here. Oh, what a strike. What a strike. Best I've seen today.
That is, without doubt, the shot of the match so far. You know, we were talking a little earlier about all these players having their little support groups, and Albin Ouschan came out, I think, as much to get away from under the lights to tell himself down during the last break there, and he spoke to Max Lechner and Mario He again, and they were laughing and joking about something, and that's part of it as well, because we know how intense Ouschan can be. That helps to break it just a little.
All right, all about the speed control, and that'll do. That'll do nicely. Got to make a little more of a shot up the table, but really in the comfort zone and wheelhouse of Albin Ouschan, like most shots. Now, this is a big difference. Can he roll past the 8, or does he have to stun by the 8? Both very doable, but if he can roll by the 8, speed control in the 6 very easy. But he needs to get into the cue ball a little bit. He could lose the speed. Nice there. He seems to be getting back into his groove like he started this match.
Yeah, it became a bit uncomfortable for him, didn't it? Ko won those 4 racks in a row to get back to only 1 behind, but just sense it's starting to turn back in his favour in that sense, and he's fancying the job again. Really 8-5, far from over, but sort of scoreline which can put a degree of comfort in your head.
This is where he'll dig into the cue ball a little bit, trying to kind of chew up some real estate with the cue ball, trying to diminish that angle a bit. Call it broadening the angle. That way it doesn't carry too much onto the 8. It's the type of shot you can hit into this left knuckle, though, when it is missed.
And now he's back in that moment. That feeling that he gives you sometimes when once you see him get down on the shot, you just have so much confidence it's going to work out for him. When he's playing well, he's unbelievably dependable.
Yeah, that's another reason why Mosconi is so solid. Just imagine what type of doubles partner he is for all players, really.
Yeah, and in the World Cup as well, where he's got such a great record, that's a doubles format as well. So for the first time since it was 5-2, we now have 3 racks in it, 3 more, and Ouschan will be through. Have you seen anything in particular he's doing differently this week that we've not seen him do over the last 6 or 7 months?
Well, I haven't got to watch every match, but what I've seen here and a little bit against Shane, of course, is, you know, he hadn't covered his face much with the towel. He hasn't looked up to the pool gods so much. He's really been in tune mentally, whether he's been at the table, whether it's been something he didn't like so much, bad roll, or even in the chair. I think he's enjoying it. To a degree, anyways, for Albin Ouschan.
Yeah, I don't think he ever looks like he's completely enjoying it till it's over, and then sometimes you get some really intense celebrations. And perhaps it's been here in this groundbreaking event with the big crowds, all orchestrated by Emily Fraser there of Matchroom, who now knows we're talking about her. Maybe that's lifted him. Just the setting here and this wonderful event we've got in Hanoi. 8-5.
Oh, he got real quick there. Real quick on the takeaway. And a 2-9 to get back on the board possibly for Ping Chung. Yeah, got a little snatchy with it there and mishit the 1. And you can always tell because the 1 didn't even threaten that side pocket.
And there he is again. Suddenly it's the hand over the face again, just as we were saying that hadn't been going on. So we've seen a couple of relatively lengthy racks in this semi-final. This could be the shortest.
Yeah, the key to this is hit it right in the middle. Don't baby it, don't crush it. Yeah, just a nice solid speed.
Scratch off the break from Ouschan. 2-9 combination from Ping Chung. 2 shots to decide rack 14. And we have a very close contest again. Ouschan is back to 2 ahead at 8-6. Yeah, again, I think it's always important to say these things when we get to these big days for people who might be new to the sport, what the combination situation is all about there. So long as you hit the lowest valued ball remaining on the table first, then any pot is legal and it keeps you at the table. Or, in this instance, if it's the 9, it wins you the rack. And that's exactly what happened there. Albin Ouschan knew what was coming, didn't he? It was written all over his face and the gesture with his hand.
Yeah, well, nothing has changed momentum or frame of mind in matches more than a scratch on the break or any type of ball in hand you didn't expect. And even though Albin's been pretty on point and we saw Ping Chung struggle early, we're at 8-6 here and pretty much everything else you can throw out the window, I think.
Ping Chung has, to one degree or another, pulled a number of matches out of the fire in the last few weeks during this great run he's been on. He's threatening to do it again. Was 5-0 down, remember? Now he trails 8-6.
Watch out, cue ball could get an awful kiss. Got a beautiful kiss. And remember what we started off the match with, talking about maybe the differences in the players. And the break was the one that I thought Ping Chung really had the advantage. Now, Albin's shown us different until that last one. Now we'll see mainly. And it wasn't so much, I thought, Albin being that far behind. It's just been how good has Ping Chung been at the break the last, month or so. All right, not much angle here. Got to get a lot into this, and this is where the left English off the second rail may not take. So he may get very thin on this red 3 in the side. Yeah, like here, I don't think he can play it. It was always going to be difficult, I thought. Now he's got to regroup.
You know what you were saying there? We analyse throughout all these tournaments all the different aspects of the game, but how often do we come away at the end of it saying that the reason the guy won the tournament was because he broke better than everyone else when it came to the big matches? It's been like in a big golf tournament where so often we say it comes down to who has the best week with the putter.
This is super thin. May get action on the 9. Oh, and that's the action he didn't want. But wait a second. Oh, my.
Well, the 5 did nudge the 9 out of the way. But then landed right where he didn't want it to.
Yeah, and a bit of a wry smile there. And difference in pool and golf is you don't have 3, 4, 5 minutes to walk it off. You got to get on with it. You see and can hear the crowd feel his pain. Yeah, I see that a lot with Ping Chung on that type of kick shot. You don't want to lose accuracy, right? But you have to be able to kick at it with a little more speed, I think, just to create a little luck if you happen not to make it.
So Ping Chung, since he was 5-0 down, has never managed to get level. He was looking here to get back to only 1 behind and keep the pressure on Ouschan. There's the familiar mini head shake from the Austrian.
Man, he knows he may run into the purple here if he tries to come above it. Really confident strike there. The fans show their appreciation and knowledge as well.
Well, it's like you were saying when we were in Atlantic City and the great crowds we had there over the weekend. It's very different to a lot of other sports in that a very high percentage of the people who come to watch tournaments play the game on a regular basis. And you can always see that reflected in the way they conduct themselves and the way they react to the right shots.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think even the crowds that are learning, we don't give them enough credit at times. It's a game to pay attention to. There's all kinds of little things involved. He's going to play for the corner. I think that's real smart. Why involve the 8 coming back? Maybe you get jacked up over the 8 and rarely get behind it, but always talk about, you know, if you want to improve your game, try to play position without passing position for a few hours. You'd be amazed at how well you can do. Albin Ouschan does that quite often.
So once again, he's going to put a bit of distance between them. Another intriguing rack. And it's another one that has gone the way of the 2-time world champion from Klagenfurt in Austria. Albin Ouschan now leads 9-6. It was also comfortable for Albin Ouschan in the early stages of this semi-final. My word, it's not been that way since. But he is now just a couple of racks away from winning it. He's breaking with a 9-6 lead.
Two ball's going to agree with the cue ball. That's always a good feeling. Cue ball rests below the rack, and that generally causes problems percentage-wise getting shots. But not here for Albin Ouschan. And the 3 near. Do see the 5 down table, so the 4 to the 5 to the 6 going to be demanding. I'm sorry, Michael. I was just going to say a little rail first shot here, maybe. I'm not sure the angle he has on the 2.
When he was the best player in the world a couple of years ago, he was such a great finisher of matches, and actually he's retained that, I think. Even when he's been struggling a bit this year, he's come through some close finishes, looking to bring all those qualities to bear to book himself a spot in the final.
He wants to get through this rail first. You don't want the cue ball to linger up table too much. Yeah. That way he doesn't want to carry too much of an angle on the red 3. And I'm really surprised to use side on that one. Thought it'd just be a straight high ball on the rail first, but of course he's at the table and those players can see best. All right, he's got to let the draw stroke out. The good thing is the center of the table's open, so no worries as long as he hits his mark.
Talked so much about the Asian contingent even before we got here, Jeremy, and we knew how strong they'd be, and we saw 17 players from the Philippines make the final 64, 6 from the host nation, none of whom managed to go any further. They've really delivered in terms of getting through and having an impact on the tournament, and yet now looks increasingly likely that we're going to have an all-European final, although a little bit less so after that shot.
Yeah, he knew it right away as it passed the center of the table that it was going to be too much, and landing on the rail is going to hurt also. Don't know if he has both pockets available. The 5 does play to both pockets, but now that he's on the rail, can he avoid the scratch of going to what's the upper right on your screen right now? Don't really see much future in this. He'd love to be able to get to the center of the table just past the 9 to get any kind of cut on the green 6. So he's going to come 3 cushions. And this is the awkward one. He can't go that far with it. He can't go all the way around table. Trying to go those 4 rails. I'll tell you, you have to commend the strike and really just the mental to be able to go for that shot. But now out of position and most likely a safety. We're going to see some more Ping Chung. Now, does he just push this past the 9? Is he going to edge this ball and try and run the cue ball? Looks like that's the second one is the selection for Albin. He's trying to kill the cue ball. He gave up a little bit of a look. Now this ball rests near the rail, which makes the cross-side bank very difficult, if maybe not even playable.
here in such big and increasing numbers throughout the week. And they've seen all sorts of things. Add that to the list. This is what a crowd being involved is like, isn't it? People love to talk about it nowadays. Let's get the crowd involved, and that usually just means let's get them shouting and creating a bit of a commotion. This is a crowd really hanging on every single thing that's happening. And they're getting a little more drama.
Yeah, absolutely.
That was not the intended position on the 8. Should still be okay, but...
Well, these are fans that have put forth an effort the entire week in so many ways to be great fans while the matches are going on, away from the matches. I'm sure a few of them were in the tournament itself.
Well, the other night after one of Ping Chung's matches, security had to be called to come outside the venue. There were so many people queuing up to meet him for photographs and signings and all the rest of it. Albin Ouschan might have been starting to feel he was establishing a bit of security in this match. Ping Chung is not letting go, he's not going away, and he's back to only a couple behind at 9-7. Ping Chung is just such a polite chap and so friendly and a bit humble as well, and very often you see this in sports, that people who are like that, they need that big win to give them that extra bit of confidence because they don't have that natural swagger. Do you think that's the case with Ping Chung after his US Open win?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we talk about with youngsters, you know, he's maybe a little about like FSR in a way, went a while without some big wins, and you never know what that US Open might really open as far as doors for him and his own game and what he believes he can do.
Yeah, we were talking earlier about support groups. Ping Chung's two brothers, both of whom were playing in the tournament, are here alongside him.
Rack 17. Ping Chung to break. Trading 9 racks instead.
Yeah, he's really been on the back end of things with the break. He's broke them really well. Had a lot of looks at the blue too, just none of them very comfortable, been jacked up a few times. And always hard to push out. Needs it now, Michael. Oh, and he's missed the one. A dry break at the worst time.
The worst time and the first time for him in this match.
Man, that one there, I really didn't see many problems with the hit on the one. Cue ball really has done the same thing it's done for him for now what looked like a month straight ever since that US Open win. It's actually just a few weeks ago. All right, he can really get the cue ball tucked away here behind the purple. If he gets it on top, this could be difficult. Yeah, I think he did. And if he has to kick, if this is the only route he has and he has to put spin on this, the problem is he can't put a whole lot of speed because he needs the spin to have time to bite. So he's got to look at some kind of path up table, maybe between the 4-7 and 2 rails between the 7-2 back at the 1. I think that's a better route, even though very demanding. Type of shot, the way it lays. If you hit it, a lot of good things can happen. Lots of traffic out there. He may kick the one right on in off 2 cushions. Could catch a 3rd cushion and kick the one in. I like his chances here, Michael.
They like the outcome.
Yeah, and that's the beauty of the World 9-Bowl Tour, making some changes, really getting both players involved. That's what the fans want to see, and that's really what the game's about. All right, he's just going to creep the one up the rail, maybe just come over towards the 8. Shouldn't be a whole lot of movement here. I don't don't know. That rail behind the 6, you could see a little smirk there from Albin, and the kick's very, very hittable. The problem is he's going to send the one up the table, and the upward part of the table is fairly bare, so don't think he can get a return snooker. He's just got to play speed to put the one on the top cushion and try and, you know, live for another shot. Oh, he's cut it too much.
No, it's not going to reach. They're trying to will it towards the pocket. It was never getting there.
Yeah, Andy opened up the problem with the 5-6 with that kick shot. So now things out in the open. A long distance one, but with the one near, shouldn't be a problem. Maybe just gaining position on the blue 2, really.
Extension pool.
Just as clean as it's been all match for him on that one. Now, I don't think the 3 passes the 8. And if he's falling straight on here, he cannot get position on the red 3 to get onto the 4. Now, if he has a little angle, should be okay. And the way he's chalking the cue, he may be drawing the cue ball all the way back to the top rail, then back down for the red 3. And I think the way he swung the cue right there, he's going to power up here. It's going to land on top of the red 3. And I wouldn't call that shot so unfortunate. I think he actually needed to cue a little right English to straighten the cue ball out along with that draw, the low tip position. I think the 1 to the 2 was a little unfortunate to draw over and land dead straight. If he gets any angle at all, he can get on the 3 in a very manageable position. Oh, he caught the 6 with the cue ball. If he gets safe here, it was by luck. Just lost the plot there for a shot.
Yeah, not the first time we've seen him do that. It's a tendency
Oh,
he has.
he may have broke his cue right there. I heard something kind of crack.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It certainly felt that way, didn't it?
Yeah, cue cracking and maybe a few other things unraveling for Albin Ouschan. And hate to see it. He's played a beautiful set. He's still got to finish. Wow.
I bet he doesn't feel so bad about it now.
Well, it kind of felt like maybe the pool gods will look at that temper a little bit, but we've talked about the sides. You know, the corners being a hair easier, but the sides are no joke. And look how deep the red 3 is. Wow. Looks like half the ball's inside the jaws, really. Over half. Shouldn't be any problem to cheat this and draw out, though. Oh, he caught the 5.
I think he'll settle for that. You just wonder if that added weight of expectation that comes with having won the US Open has maybe weighed a bit heavily on Ping Chung in this match. Knows how close he is to backing it up with another big win.
Couple little bumps on the brown 7.
Bumps in the road as he looks to get to the hill. It's been another intriguing rack with a narrative all of its own.
Yeah, the speed off again a little bit. And now is he involving the 9 going forward with the cue ball? So you may have to draw to the bottom cushion back up at the 7. A lot of times on this type of shot, we'll see the tip position. You don't want to baby it, of course, but you want to kind of manage a little bit. Don't worry about getting so close to the 7. You can handle a lot. And that's a smart shot with the 8 near. Or let's say the 8 very playable. It's tense in this room at the moment. That's what I feel.
Every single person in the room is so wrapped up in what's going on here.
Yeah, these fans are invested, that's for sure.
Albin Ouschan has invested so much effort and energy into this match. He always does. Lost his cool a little during that rack. Looked as though he may have lost his cue, but it seems to have survived intact. And he's now on the hill at 10-7. So looking at that man in his seat there, Jeremy Ping Chung, it's not over yet, as I've said. He's pulled a few matches around in recent weeks. But if he is to lose from here, what do you think he's going to make of the overall way he's played in this semi-final?
Well, I think he can, you know, we're pretty hard on ourselves as players, but I think if he really looked back at it, he'd realize that, you know, some of those chances early were not easy, especially at the beginning of a match. There were a couple 2 balls to cut down the rail. You remember the 9 he missed after Albin missed it, and then Albin banks the 9 in. So there were a few shots he'd like to have back, but I think he's the type that's going to be constructive in a positive way, and probably just, you know, tries to make things better, reflect on it, get on with it.
It's not over, of course, because he needs to win 4 racks in a row to win this semi-final. And that's something he has already done in this match. Indeed, it was from 5-0 down. But it's Ouschan breaking on the hill.
All right, he's going to get a look. Cue ball got kissed to the top rail, but to finish, you got to be happy. I mean, you got to make one tough shot here on the blue tube, but position is natural. Maybe not the most friendly way to have to shoot it from, you know, some 6-7 feet away, but that being at a lighter speed. But I think he's got to go here. Got to take a chance on get to the final, put it in his own hands.
Big-time players produce big-time shots over and over again, as Albin Ouschan has done many times through his illustrious career. But even he wasn't up to the challenge there.
Now, do you go up behind the 6? That's the one that's most comfortable for most players. That way you get some distance if you don't get the snooker. Or you come in behind the 3. I think he got the full eclipse. We'll soon see.
Extension call.
trying to draw the cue ball back off this kick near the 3. Maybe pockets the 2. All right, Ping Chung's going to get a look to pocket a ball. I think he can get at the blue 2. Pretty sure anyways. And this is where he's really improved, I think. The long ball. Should just be a straight high English. He's got to come down. Maybe goes into the 7 with the cue ball. Not sure he can check the cue ball to. Yeah, that's a lot of angle. So not only a tough shot, but the cue ball is a must. Gonna get a couple little bumps. Still in it, Michael.
That is exactly the sort of shot that could just spark a comeback.
Yeah, you read my mind there. Almost energize little Co. Okay, played it to the high side of the pocket to avoid the purple as he went up table for the 4. And even though he's won 7 games, you know, we've been watching him play now for quite some time and a lot lately because he's played the most matches there at the U.S. Open. But do you ever feel he ever got that rhythm around the table in this match at all? I've never felt it once. And maybe we'll see it here towards the end, picking up the pace a little bit.
Sometimes it happens, doesn't it? You feel the match is almost lost. Got nothing left to jeopardize. Just frees things up a bit.
All right, a little funny to go 2 rails. This is the stroke that most players need to have in their bag. Digging on the cue ball to really kill this angle. This heavy angle he has on the 8. Oh, he's going to go twice. And under the pressure, that's a hell of a shot.
Needed 4. There's 1. Ping Chung is still in this semi-final at 10-8 down. And not hard to tell the story of that rack, Jeremy, because both of them at different times there were in a situation where they needed to come with a really big shot to unlock the rack. Ouschan wasn't able to do it. Co was, and that was the difference.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, we talk about it, the first and the last are the hardest to win in sports, it seems. And this 2-ball would certainly have won the match, you would figure, because Albin Ouschan, once he gets in control, he rarely ever gives it up.
Ping Chung had the big turnaround last night from 8-3 down against Kyle Amoroto, who seemed to struggle with the enormity of what he might be about to achieve. We saw the big turnaround in the US Open final. He was never facing a massive deficit there, but was 6-3 down against the man who probably went into that final as a marginal favourite, Fedor Gorst, and then it all started to go his way with 10 racks in a row.
Running 10 racks to 8.
Okay, that's a quarter of the task done. Now needs another 3.
Well, I'll tell you one impressive thing there. He had a dry break in the last, and it seems like he said, heck with it, I'm going to put a little more power into this one. Shows a lot of heart to me with your opponent on the heel.
It's like he's played in a stifled manner. Maybe he's stifled himself, and just 1 or 2 signs in his body language that maybe he's throwing off those shackles now.
Well, that's why you play all these matches, because that way you have all these different types of experiences, deficits, leads that you lose, deficits that you overcome. Another tough one here, elevated over the 9. Great shot. Like a practice stroke right there, Michael. Like he was on one of the back tables. Got a difficult rack, though. And not just from the 6 to the 7, which is obvious, but, you know, can he get fairly straight on the pink to hold easily for the 5? Even if you got to sacrifice a little distance here, straight on the pink would be a real helping hand.
We saw Federer Gorst trying to come from well behind and the brink of defeat against Jason Shaw in the quarterfinal last night, and we said at the time, no matter how much you do right, all it takes is one moment of doing something slightly wrong, and then the comeback is over. And that was how it turned out for Gorst in the end. Ping Chung is playing under that pressure of, as we always say, knowing his next mistake would be very possibly his last.
Oh yeah, now kind of bouncing around the table like he's got a 5 or 6 game lead. Ready to end it and get something to eat. Meanwhile, it's a semifinal with, I don't know, what feels like 2,500 deep in this arena, 2,000 deep. I mean, it's just a huge crowd.
Every time I look
Is
up,
it getting bigger?
It seems like more people have come in every time I look.
Yeah, it's, I don't know what they do on Sundays normally, but this Sunday evening, they're
Probably
watching.
play pool.
Well, they're watching the best in the world, that's for sure. And that's what I mean. He's starting to really thump the pocket. And as for your watching, you might think that this Asian Vietnamese crowd wants Ping Chung to win, and I'm sure vast many of them do, but they want Hill. That's what they want.
And every chance now they're going to get it, because Ping Chung will be breaking with an opportunity to deliver that. A fine rack. It's his second in a row. He's one behind now at 10-9. Ping Chung brought the house down here in Hanoi yesterday when he came from 9-7 down to win the last 3 racks and edge out Max Lechner 10-9 in the last 16, particularly with the manner in which he did it, with those 2 big combinations in the last 2 racks. He needed to win the final 4 here. He's already got 2 of them. Imagine the reaction if he does it again. And that is Max Lechner, the man who was so crestfallen after that match. He's here supporting his great pal Albin Ouschan, who looked finalist all over for so much of this match, but not there yet. How about this then, JJ?
Well, it all depends on what the red 3 is doing. If the red 3's playable, you know, it's kind of stuck to the purple 5, a little gap by the 9. The overhead tells me it does go. The 3's playable. I think he takes on the 2 possibly. Now this has been the type of shot he's had issues with in this match a little bit. I wonder what he's looking at there. Right there, if he's pointing there, that tells me he's playing safe. And this is the type of safety on the slick table can get away from you a little bit, because you got to cut the 2 a little to create easy movement on the cue ball. So we'll see Albin here in a moment. Doesn't want to leave a gap. He's done real well there. So Albin's going to go 2 rails at this, off the side rail and the bottom rail. The question is, which way do you go? Which side rail do you hit first? I wouldn't say either one's that much better than the other. If you come underneath this 2 rails, the way this angle lays, you may slide underneath it and scratch off the bottom of the 2. Now Albin's so smart with these types of shots, he'll recognize that he doesn't want to play the kick shot too heavy. That way he may slide towards the corner and still not scratch if there's not enough speed. So we'll see. I wouldn't say guaranteed to hit, but 95% for sure. Oh my, oh my. And that's quite a miss there, because I felt like he wanted to come underneath it. If he comes across it, he's going into the 9 with the cue ball and really no safety there. So a very rare misjudgment from 2-time world champion Albin Ouschan. And we're on the cusp of a heel-heel match.
Yeah, more likely than not. That vast crowd that we're seeing here. It's going to see the final rack drama they've all been hoping for. So different to the first semi-final. That was just a landslide for Jason Shaw. Be very surprising if Sanja Pelovanovic doesn't come back and have much better days than that towards the end of big events. But Shaw has been waiting for a couple of hours now to find out who his opponent is going to be.
Okay. 3 definitely does play. It looks like it'll be a draw stroke, 1 rail above to the center of the table. The 5 near, 6-7 playable. This is really the shot, obviously not to end the rack, but to put us in position for that heel-heel we're all wanting. I'll tell you, I've watched Ping Chung now for many, many years, and you know, we used to always talk about Alex Pagulayan being pound for pound the most heart. I'll tell you, don't want to take that away from Alex, but Ping Chung might have the biggest chin on tour. He's taken it all kinds of ways in these tournaments.
He's been playing big time pool for so long, hasn't he? He was only 15 when he got to the final of that big event in Japan. His first really good run at the World Championship not long after that. Even at the age of 28, he's vastly experienced, and he's just had the highlight of his career a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, you could see a little shake of the head after he shot the 4 and got on the 5. He knew he was going to have to take distance on the 6. So this is really the last hurdle. And you got to love it. So much pressure, but these players, they don't cinch the ball, right? go ahead and let the swing go and see what happens.
So Albin Ouschan was first to the hill at 10-7. But now he's been joined there. We're going to get our final rack. And Ping Chung will have the break in it. And really, this has all happened so quickly that he's won these 3 racks in a row. Who do you think is enjoying it more right now, JJ?
Well, I know I'm enjoying it. You know, Albin would have rather had it over, but that's how this is going on the World 9-Ball Tour. It's been epic matches all year, whether it's the semifinal, the final. Even some of the 11-0s were something special because there were performances kind of for the ages. I really shocked on that miss on the kick there from Albin, and just a few things down the end. Really just not his best, but again, he can wipe all that away if he gets a chance, and that's the real question here in the case rack.
Well, these the biggest moments of this wonderful event so far. One rack to decide who will face Jason Shaw for what, in the space of 6 days, has already established itself as one of the major titles in the sport. Ping Chung, watched by his brothers, will break.
All right, the cue ball is going to be clean. The 2's going to be long, but playable.
Well, he potted a really big 2-ball, didn't he, a few racks ago to really spark this comeback into life. He needs to come with another massive one now.
Yeah, it's going to be a little awkward cueing. The good thing, he's so smart. I think he simplifies the shot here on the 2, even though it's not easy no matter how you play it. I think he just kind of tries to hold his ball there for a cut on the 3. And no one's sweating it more than that man right there.
Desperate for a chance to do something, anything about it.
Well, this type of shot is why you practice. This is why you train all those hours. It's not really about aiming. It's just like go with your gut, swing the cue.
And Ouschan is going to get that chance. This is why this tournament is different, because they don't play in arenas this vast with this many people watching. It poses a whole different set of questions, and Ping Chung wasn't able to come up with the answer there. Now all the pressure shifts to Ouschan as he looks to finally get this done.
Yeah, and I don't think he was so unhappy the way he struck the ball. It was a difficult shot. All right, wanting to carry an angle on the red 3 and not catch the 7. So the first part of this puzzle is behind him. Yeah, and you'd like to just come one rail straight down the table, go at the 6, just a little speed control. Now, how you hit the pocket means a lot as far as the cue ball is concerned. Okay, the speed's going to be just fine. Cue ball getting a little straight on the pink 4. Did rest near the rail a little bit. I don't know if the 5 goes by the 6. Still lots going on in this rack. Thing about Ping Chung shot, the only thing that I don't even question, but I thought would be there, is I thought the extension was all for that shot. I thought he would really maybe take his extension there. Oh, is he playing for a 5-9 to end this?
Wow. Well, imagine the reaction we're going to get from this crowd, who have had the time of their lives here today, if this is how it all finishes.
Well,
Albin
even like
Ouschan
right there.
was 5-0 in front. Later he led 10-7. It was all slipping away from him, potentially, when it got back to 10-all. And now, after Ping Chung's miss on the 2. Ouschan has this combination for the match. Two weeks ago, and 8,000 miles from here, Ping Chung was US Open champion on the water's edge of the Atlantic Ocean. In Hanoi, he's come undone at the hands of Albin Ouschan. A wonderful, wonderful semi-final in a wonderful setting.